Live from Hollywood, it's Paranormal Tonight. I'm Mark Summers, and now, here's your host, Dan Harary.
That's me, Dan Harary. That's my name. Don't wear it out, Mark Summers. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. This is my 8th show already, live from Hollywood. It's Paranormal Tonight. I am Dan Harary. I am a veteran Hollywood publicist, whatever that means, 40 plus years in Hollywood. Actually, broadcasting to you live from beautiful downtown Beverly Hills. This is my office and my workplace of insanity. You can see my insanity on the walls behind me there. I'm also an author of 2 books, Flirting with Fame and After They Came. Those are right here. My mother always makes sure that I have those prominently displayed, or else she yells at me every week. Why aren't you selling your books? I am selling my books, Mom. There you go. Had a very interesting last few days. Today, I had the privilege of spending a day with my dear friend, Michelle Phillips, the singer from the Mamas and the Papas. She's a friend of mine, and she agreed to be interviewed by me for this dopey show. And once we edit that down, we will be presenting it. It might even be a 2-parter. She talks about her whole career and 60s music and the drug situation in the 60s. It's a fascinating person. I was with her all day today, and that's going to come up in the next few months, my interview with Michelle Phillips. Earlier this week, I spent some time at a UFO hotspot in New Mexico. I was invited by some people who own a property there, and they have the most remarkable UFO activity that they've captured on photographs and on videos, thousands and thousands of images. And they are having all of their data scientifically vetted, forensically, and to be proven that it's not fake, that it's real stuff. The things that I saw the last few days are just mind-boggling. You'll be hearing more about that in the months ahead. I have a little frog in my voice, in my throat, and hopefully he'll leave during the course of this show. So anyway, now I want to introduce a very dear friend of mine and a very special guest that we have for tonight. Caryn Richman is an actress and a singer, probably best known for her role as Gidget in the TV series The New Gidget, which was produced by Columbia Pictures Television. That series evolved from the success of the 1985 TV movie Gidget Summer Reunion, in which she also starred. The New Gidget series ran from 1986 to 88, and I first met Caryn in 1986 when I was the publicist for The New Gidget when I worked at Columbia Pictures. Born in Brooklyn, New York, 2 months before me, I've always had a crush on older women. Caryn graduated from Syracuse University and later from UCLA. She began her professional acting career in the 1970s when she starred in a Broadway production of Grease. Then she joined a singing group called Tuxedo Junction, a 3-part vocal group which sang 40s music in disco style. We'll be talking to her about those projects in a minute. Next, Caryn showcased her singing abilities on the TV show Texas, where she played a successful country singer named Elena Decker from 1980 to 82. And Caryn performed many songs on Texas, and she really has a lovely singing voice, something I didn't realize until just the other day. Caryn portrayed the role of Nora Brady, wife to Brady Bunch star Barry Williams, a.k.a. Greg Brady, in the TV movie A Very Brady Christmas in 1988. And she also played that same role in the TV series The Bradys, which was a revamping of the Brady Bunch, obviously, in 1990. During her career, Caryn has appeared on numerous TV shows, including The New Mike Hammer, Matlock, Jake and the Fat Man, Angel Fire, Hitman, The Adventures of Mr. Clown, and many others. She played the role of Jane Johnson in a TV series called Hollywood Safari. She played the part of Victoria in the 2014 film The Blackwater Vampire. And a few years ago, she appeared in the movie The Puppetman. So we're going to talk about all those things. Caryn is available on Instagram. Her username is @Caryn, Caryn Richman, like rich man. Let's bring in my dear friend Brace. Let's bring in my friend Caryn Richman. There she is.
Hey. Oh my God, I'm so bright compared to you. I feel like I
You
need to be
are.
more mysterious or something.
You want to light some candles or
I feel
something?
like I really am way too woo. Anyway, you look great though. I'm sorry you're
Well,
not feeling well.
oh yeah, it's okay. The show must go on, Caryn. That's what I. My mother was a. I don't know if I told you. My mother was an actress, and a singer, and a playwright, and a director, and a musician, and a poet, and all those things. So
Didn't know
sh
that.
she was in countless plays when I was a kid, and there were times when she'd be sick, and Danny, the show must go on.
Honey,
Danny.
it's so true. I must have the same mother. Well,
Yeah, my parents were from Brooklyn, so yeah, of course,
mine
we,
too. There you go.
of course
Kindred
we.
spirits.
All right, so hopefully I didn't screw up anything in your bio there. All right,
No, I love to hear you repeat it back. Sometimes we don't realize we've done stuff in our
right,
life,
right.
right?
That's right. Absolutely, we're busy living our everyday lives. All right, so I have some questions for you. Let's
Uh-oh.
rock and roll, and let's just see.
Okay.
Let's see where this
See,
goes.
here we go. It's an
Here we
improv.
go. Here
Okay.
we go. All right, so tell us about growing up. How and when did you realize you wanted to be a singer and an actress?
So I grew up on Long Island, nice Jewish girl, mostly raised in Massapequa Park, uh, for those of you who even know Long Island. And, I'm old enough to say that in those days, it was so hard to imagine like having a career as an actor. It was more, oh my God, that's a dream that's unattainable. And I literally, wanted to be Barbara Streisand in Funny Girl, and I would watch musicals, and then I went to my first, Broadway play, and I always dreamed of it, but I literally never thought that it would be something that was attainable. It was also something that nice girls, didn't do. I was like expected to go to college and do a much more traditional kind of life. So I always dreamed of it, never thinking it was attainable. Was in, shows at Temple, at high school, at camp. And it really wasn't until I was in the middle of college that I went to an open call on Broadway for the show Grease, which was running, and this was 1970. Oh my gosh, I'm giving away my age, but it doesn't matter.
Erase. Well, hold on, Caryn. Race. Can we see? There we go. Slide number 1.
Oh
That's
my,
you, Caryn. Look at you. How old are you here in this picture?
I really couldn't find a digitized picture of the actual original Grease that I did. This was a number of years later, still must have been in my late 20s with Rex Smith, who is such a beautiful man, but we had so much fun. So this wasn't my original. This was from a tour, actually. I reprised the role of Sandy for years. I was in my 40s and I did it once with Jack Wagner. So that was one of those plays that you could be sort of aiming towards being a geriatric person and still do the play if you could move around a bit. So,
Well, how old? So you were up in Sandy in Greece on Broadway.
I ended up getting the role of Sandy. I did it on tour. I did it on Broadway, and that started my career. And at that point, I did a complete U-turn. I was majoring in social work and psychology, and just said, hey, I could potentially, try this and maybe have this as my career. It might be attainable after all. So.
And did your parents accept once they saw you on Broadway? They must have said, "Oh my God, our little, oh, you're a little girl. Is she so much? She's so talented."
I'm telling.
I'm
No,
telling from her.
I think my mom was living vicariously and my dad was horrified. My parents were divorced. My dad was an Orthodox Jewish traditional man who couldn't imagine the decisions I had just made. My mom just thought it was, fabulous. So I had a conflict there, which, was an interesting dichotomy for me. It wasn't until I don't think Grease proved to them that I was going to make a success of it, but subsequently some of the other roles, it wasn't until Gidget, the new Gidget was there was an article in the Jewish Journal, as long as we're on this theme of being Jewish. And I think at that point, my father felt Okay, my daughter's an actress.
You know, I may have gotten you that article, come to think of it.
I'm sure you did. You used to come to the set with piles of articles. How you even did that, I have no idea.
Yeah. My daughter says, "Woo, Caryn." Did you
I
see? I don't know.
see.
It's Anjali,
Beautiful.
little Anjali. Hi, Anjali.
Such a beauty and so lovely.
She's the one thing I ever did right. Race, let's see slide number 2, please. My brother Race. Let's see slide number 2. All right, now look at you. Look at these hot babes. You're in a singing group called Tuxedo Junction. What's going on here?
So I came out to Los Angeles after doing Grease on tour, ended up at the Pantages Theater here in beautiful Hollywood. And this was a group that was similar to Milli Vanilli. They had already done one album. They had done an album and consequently had a hit song on the charts, Chattanooga Choo Choo, the disco version of Chattanooga Choo Choo.
Okay.
And at that point, they realized, oh, we have to put a group together. It was studio singers that had done that first album. So we were acting as if we were this recording group. We learned 3-part harmonies. We performed on all kinds of TV shows, Dance Fever. We were on tour. We played the Copacabana in New York. And then we actually recorded the second album. We didn't end up with a hit song on the charts at that point. And it was also towards the end where disco was absolutely dying and it was time to move on. But for that period of time, we were in that world. And that was a world that I knew nothing about because that had nothing to do with acting, right? It was everything you imagine the music business to be in the 70s. It was crazy.
Where are these 2 women now? Do you know?
So yes, Midge, who is the middle lovely woman, is one of my best friends. And that was, for many, many years, obviously. And sadly, Lisha, the beauty and the gold, has passed on. So, and there we are. And
so you were like the monkeys. You were created in the studio.
Exactly.
You were cast, put together, and then did you tour? Did you tour around?
We toured all over the United States. As I say, we did all kinds of TV shows and disco shows. We played Las Vegas with Wolfman Jack, Peaches and Herb, Franjo Lee, who had a hit song, Come to Me. We were on this giant billboard. Like, it was a time, honestly, in my life where everything felt like it was just this, like I was shot out of a cannon. It was like this fabulous period of my life where I had I had no expectation. I didn't know where I was going with any of it. So it was all just such a beautiful surprise and so much fun and so crazy.
Was your Orthodox father was he plotting? I from you, I'm plotting, Caryn. I'm plotting.
I actually don't remember his reaction during the Tuxedo Junction days. But
I never knew your father was Orthodox Jewish. I never knew that.
Well, he was, the synagogue that he went to was Orthodox. He kept kosher at home. But my mom, since I was going back and forth again from a divorced home, it was very confusing. Like, we'd eat bacon in one home and it was forbidden in another.
No wonder you've been bipolar all these years.
I'm telling you, it's really, that little level of torture serves actors very, very well. They tend to see things from 2 different sides because I was constantly trying to evaluate like who needed what from me and try to be that. So it served me well. That was my original training, I think.
I understand. My daughter went through that from the age of 2. I got divorced when she was 2, and her mother and I are the most different people on the planet. And every now and then she goes, Dad, how were you and Mom ever together? I go, I don't know. I have no idea how that happened.
Well, because you were married at an early age, and then
I met her. Her name is Kim, very lovely lady. I met her. I was 25. Kim was 20.
That's very, very young.
Yeah, we were together 11 years, and they were the 11 of the best days of my life. That's a whole nother joke that I do.
Do you have like a little drum beat in there somewhere?
Well, I have my drums back there. I don't know if you can see them.
I do, actually. I didn't know. Listen, we've been friends for years, and I'm learning so much.
You didn't know I was a drummer?
I had no idea. I've
been a drummer. All right. From 7 to 10, I played classical piano because both of my parents were musicians. 7 to 10 classical piano. I was gifted and brilliant and doing recitals. Okay.
I no doubt.
Okay. The Monkees come on TV September 1966. And now we had a black and white TV. We didn't
Mhm.
even have color. But anyway, the Monkees came on. I sat there. I was like, oh my God, the Monkees. Now, I was a little on the young side for the Beatles. I loved the Beatles, but I didn't connect to them. The Monkees are on TV. They're funny. They have long hair. They have hit songs. And Mickey Dolenz is pretending to play the drums. And I saw that, Caryn, and I said, oh my God, Mom and Dad, see that? I'm going to play the drums. Yeah, sure, kid. You're going to play. No, 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 no. You don't understand. I'm going to play the drums. And I fought and kicked and screamed. They gave me lessons for years. I got a drum set for my bar mitzvah. I've been in bands since 1968. I've been playing on and
How
off.
did I not know this? And have you played anywhere like since let's say
Well,
from the new Gidget to now, from the
now,
80s to now?
now, just in my room here because of my ears. It's a whole thing with my hearing, and
Oh,
it's a whole thing. But no, I mean, I'm a very good drummer. I've always been a good drummer. And then my middle brother plays piano and keyboards. My little brother plays guitar. My dad played the trombone. My parents were in a big band together in the 70s. My mom was the lead singer. My dad was the trombonist. I used to see my parents on stage. I grew up with parents on stage. So
right.
for me, how you wish to elevate yourself onto a stage. I grew up with my parents on stages my whole life. I'm like, yeah, I guess show business is just kind of part of my family, and all our other relatives looked at my parents like they were crazy. They were the only ones of their kind, my parents.
That's unusual, especially for that time. I feel like that's wonderful.
And my dad was an engineer for the army, and he was building radars and missiles and spy equipment and spying on Russia by day. And then on weekends, he's playing trombone in a big band, and my mother is singing, St. Louis blues. And my mother was very good looking in these days, and my dad used to get jealous because all the guys in the band were be flirting with my mother in
There you
front
go.
of him, and he's sitting right there.
That's showbiz, baby. That's
And
yeah.
anyway, that's
That's,
a whole. We'll talk more about that next time we go to Musso and Frank.
I love that.
All
Okay.
right, race number three,
Uh-oh.
number three. All right, I pulled this off the internet. And now I watched this, Caryn. You have a lovely, a lovely voice, which I
Oh,
never heard you sing live, but this is you from the show Texas. Tell
yeah.
me about Texas.
So somewhere as Tuxedo Junction and disco was dying, about 1980 is when I was cast in a new soap opera that NBC was doing. It was a spin-off of Another World. We started on Another World and we ran for 3 years, 2.5 years. And sadly, it's interesting. I just did an interview with someone who's writing a book about Texas, which is kind of interesting because it was a bit of an obscure soap opera. But if you were an NBC fan and watching Another World, this was, quite popular. Sadly, we were up against General Hospital, so we really didn't have much of a chance at that point. But I loved every second of it. First of all, it was steady work. We were in New York. We were in the same studio as Another World. So we really were in our little microcosmic soap opera universe. A lot of amazing people. Chris Knight from the Brady Bunch actually was on Another World at the same time. That's where I first met him. Ray Liotta was on Another World. It was heaven. And from an acting point of view, again, anyone who's done soaps or watched soaps, it's just endless dialogue, and you become an actor. When I watched the beginning of that show, I was god awful as far as I was concerned, and I really learned how to be an actor on that show. And thankfully, once I got in it and got my feet more wet and got a bit more skilled, I improved. But it was just another incredible experience that just sort of kept unfolding for me at the time. It was great. And I got to sing. So I was doing Grease, I did Tuxedo Junction, and here I was, this country western singer. And again, for me, marrying everything, and I was really grateful for
Were
it.
you into country western music at all, or probably not?
It was country western. I don't think they call it country western anymore, but it was all, my hit song on that show was "It's All Over Town, That It's All Over Now."
Did that song make it to the radio? Well, I
No,
mean, was it
I actually still get letters, or not, we don't write letters anymore, but
emails?
correspondence, emails, whatever, saying, can we get that song? We loved that song.
Wow.
And I think that's the song we were singing in that little picture that you put
Yeah,
up.
yeah, that was really quite good. No, I watched it. I'm like, wow, I've known Caryn 30 whatever years, and that's the first time I ever heard you sing.
But
And
it's weird.
you really are a good singer. You
Oh my
really
God.
are.
Thank you. But listen, we sang on Gidget. Do you remember that? Maybe you don't remember that, but Moondoggy and I did some musical numbers. There was one Drag City where it was a throwback to like the 50s, and Moondoggy was racing
But
some.
were you singing live on the set? Were you
No, we
singing?
sang in the studio, and
Okay,
then
so that's why, Caryn. You know,
ah,
I
that's true.
I don't recall you seeing you sing live
Gotcha.
before my very eyes.
No, I'm just thinking because you were there for the whole Gidget show.
No, I was not. No, no.
Oh,
No, I got fired in, June '87. I think you went another year.
oh, that's why. That's also why,
That
because
is
that
why.
didn't happen till the last year.
Oh, I just thought of something, and I wasn't this isn't in my notes, but I just remembered this, just this minute. Do you remember this is one of my all-time great Hollywood stories. It's in my book, Flirting with Fate.
Okay.
One day, we're on the set at Columbia Pictures, we're on the set, and you pulled me aside, and you said, "Dan, Sally Fields is at the next soundstage doing a movie. Why don't you see if she might come over and take a picture with me, the original Gidget and the new Gidget, right?"
Right.
And I said, "Caryn, it's brilliant. It's wonderful." I didn't know she was there. So Caryn, so I went over. I went over to the other set. The door opened. She was coming out of the stage. She had a white robe. I think she had curlers in her hair. She had a whole entourage of women all around her, and I think she had like fuzzy slippers. And I just went right up there. Miss Field, and she's looking at me. Yeah, I said, "Oh, hi, my name is Dan. I'm with the new Gidget show next door." She goes, "Yeah, I'm the publicist for the show. Do you think do you think you might take a minute to be kind enough to come over and meet Caryn Richman, the new Gidget, so we could take a photo of you with the new Gidget together?" She looks at me like, "Not in a million years." She wanted me to die in a fire.
Oh
Not in
my
a
God,
million years.
that's
She was like, "Go
awesome.
F you, you lunatic."
She did not say that though,
No, that was like
but that was the attitude.
steam was coming out of her curlers from her.
I wonder why she hated the show so much. Like,
I think she got screwed on the royalties or the residuals from that show. I think it was a money thing. She probably so wanted Gidget to be in her past. And here's like this schmucky Jewish publicist. "Hi, Miss Field. You want to be the new Gidget?"
well, first of all, that was ballsy of you. And as a publicist, you were doing what,
I was doing my job.
yeah,
Right.
exactly. But it's
She
interesting to me that I had an instance not that long ago at the Directors Guild Awards. She was there, and I think I had one too many martinis. I was with some young people, and she was there, and they were egging me on, and I just sort of, talked myself into going over to her. She exact same reaction, and I was an idiot. I was like, oh my God, I'm Caryn. I was, I was so.
So you and we both got rebuffed by Gidget, the real Gidget.
But I love her so much, and I can understand. She just, when you're that level, you just get bombarded by.
Caryn, she looked at me like this. "Not in a million years." Like, in what world do you have the balls? Just the look on her face, Caryn. I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I looked down at my shoes, and she left. All right, race number 4, please. All right, so Caryn, your big break came in '85. You starred in Gidget's Summer Reunion TV movie, which then became the new Gidget
Oh my
TV
God,
show.
what I
Look
wouldn't
at that.
give to have that body again.
Look at that body. Boy, did you have some figure. Such a figure she has.
Falling. It's
Look
so
at that
weird.
figure.
I
God, you
never
were
felt, I always was so self-conscious, but now, a million years later, when I'm 3 times the
I
size.
mean, Caryn, for a Jewish girl from Long Island to look like that, please.
Hello, gorgeous. No, I'm kidding.
You certainly had it, man.
I
So that's
appreciate.
how we met. We met when this movie became a series. And so what are some of your favorite memories of that time period, besides meeting me, of course?
Well, meeting you was a gift.
Of course.
But as far as the show, here's the thing. That was a show that was so focused on that character, me. So I remember feeling, thrilled, how many times in a lifetime of an actor are you lucky enough to have a show where you're playing the title character like that? But along with that came what felt at the time like a lot of responsibility. And it was just a lot because of the nature of it.
Caryn, I'm so sorry. I have to interrupt you. We have to take a break.
Oh, okay. Well, come back.
I'm so enthralled with you. We have to take a break, pay some bills, run some commercials. We'll be right back with Caryn talking about the new Gidget rock and roll race. Let's do it.
Unlock the mysteries of the spirit realm with the new book, Meeting Wallace. In this channeled work by renowned psychic medium Larry Costa, the reader will delve into the profound wisdom of his spirit guide, Wallace. Together, they share the transformative journey of harnessing psychic powers from the celestial plane. Discover the extraordinary psychic gifts that have empowered Larry on his path and immerse yourself in a thought-provoking and awe-inspiring read. Meeting Wallace is a groundbreaking endeavor, and it is a perspective seen through the eyes of a spirit guide. Discover the wisdom of the spirit realm alongside actual photographs of ghosts and spirit guides. Get the book Meeting Wallace by Larry Costa at Amazon.com.
While most near-death experiencers return to this plane of existence with alluring tales of their time spent in the presence of the divine, what happens when one crosses the veil into the afterlife, into the void? In the new book, Dying to Meet Them, Mindy Toutfest describes her journey to the afterlife after a devastating aneurysm, how a strange turn of events would lead her to spiritual growth, divine healing, UFO experiences, and a greater understanding of the universe. Get your copy of Dying to Meet Them today at Amazon.com or visit unxmedia.com for more information on this book and more amazing selections from UnX Media Publishing at unxmedia.com.
And we're back with actress Caryn Richman. Caryn was telling us about the responsibility of being the title character. And, I never really thought about that. But yeah, I mean, the show revolved around you and your tight little body there.
Oh my gosh. Well, oh, there we go again. I don't
Great.
know whether to like cry or, or
Five.
um I had a thought when we were on the break though. I do have this memory of driving. Oh, that looks like some weird thing is sticking up behind my head, doesn't it? It's a sculpture. It's not some weird thing coming out of my head. I remember driving to the first day of work to Warner Brothers, which you have to come over a hill
Sure.
in Burbank, California, and the sun was coming up. It was about 6:30 in the morning, and I was driving a little white rabbit convertible, just like Gidget did. And as I pulled in the gate and my name was on the list and I was like part of the club for a minute, and they were like, "Hello, Miss Richman, welcome," and I drove onto that lot. I was sobbing with joy.
Wow.
Like, I mean, that might be an exaggeration, but I was really filled with a lot of emotion that this was my, what could have potentially been a very, very big break. And also I'm starring in a television series, my own television series, which was amazing. But yeah, a lot of responsibility and the energy, Gidget's energy was so up and a lot of energy output, which, obviously I was way younger, so it was much easier. But I did feel a certain responsibility. And also I had watched Sally Field's Gidget. I loved it. And so, I felt responsibility is too much on it. I didn't feel responsible to carry on the name necessarily, but I did feel a responsibility to be a good Gidget, like do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Take it seriously.
Yeah. I wanted to do it justice. It was iconic character, and there were many, iterations of that character. So I wanted to be part of that club and do it well if I could.
Yeah, you did a great job. Race, can we see number 5 or 6 or 7? The next couple there we go. So there you are with Dean and Sydney Penny, right?
Moondoggy and Sydney.
What happened to Sydney Penny? Whatever happened to her?
She got married and had a son and lives somewhere. Don't remember exactly where, but she worked a bunch after Gidget. And I think, I'm not 100% sure, but the last time I was in touch with her, she lives somewhere out of Hollywood and is having a wonderful life, being a wonderful mommy and happily married.
Yeah. And you're still friends with Dean, I know.
I'm really close with Dean. We do a lot of things together. We just actually last year did a musical show together where we sang together. It was a 60s tribute, and we had so much fun. He's a dear friend, and we do a lot of,
And you were dating during this period. I think it's been 40 years. I think we can let that cat out of the bag. Race, can we do the next one, please? I think it's 6. There we go. And there's William Schallert, right?
Yes.
He was the father on the Patty Duke show, I believe.
He was the father of so many different people. But
He was like the TV father. He was the TV father.
But the greatest thing, I really treasured my relationship with him. And what I value most is that after the show, we stayed close. Like up until the year he died, we would have lunch a few times a year. And we had this, I don't know what it was. I think it was his energy, and just, we were put in that position. But I felt like he was family. I felt like a little bit, he was my dad, for a minute. I mean, I know he wasn't my dad, but he was.
He was like the opposite of your Orthodox Jewish.
Very much so. But here's the great thing about William Schallert. He had such a body sense of humor, which you wouldn't necessarily know because he comes off as just this wholesome, really sweet man. But he would say the dirtiest things sometimes before a take. And and it was literally like, all right, places, everyone, ready. And he would, say something funny, not always dirty. I don't want him, to have a bad reputation. He was wonderful, wonderful man. But not that there's anything wrong with body jokes. But he would just make me laugh constantly and really kept it very, very light. And we were working long hours. We were there before the sun came up, and we filmed until the sun went down. And it was a hard shoot. It looks like it was all fun and games, but shooting at the beach is not great.
Those were long days. I remember. Race, next one, please. Yeah, same thing
I
again.
got that perm. Sometimes I can't get over the styles in the
Yeah,
80s.
you look a little different in each of these. Erase, next one as well. Next one.
There's
so-
one.
All right, so you and I met. We met this day. All right, so I was at Columbia Pictures about 5 months as a senior publicist there, and they said, Dan, you're going to be the publicist for the new Gidget. I said, okay. And they handed me this robe. That please give this to Caryn Richman. I go, who the hell's Caryn Richman? Oh, she's the new Gidget. Oh, I had no idea what they're talking about. So they gave me that. They gave me this robe, and I'm thinking, I don't want to get a dirty fingernails on. I don't want to get any fingerprints on it. It's pristine. So you were on a stage at a dance, and it was in a school. I think it was in Burbank.
Yeah, we were. That was part of this. It was a show. I remember. I do remember. I don't remember the name of the show, but yeah, it was.
But this is the moment that you and I met.
That is such a. I love this picture. I know I have this picture, but what I love most is it looks like I'm just completely flashing you.
I know. And when you did that, I said, Caryn, we'll never tell anyone what you're really doing right now.
What did I have on underneath that? Obviously, I had clothes on because we were inside. So.
I mean, just look how young and young,
both of us,
carefree, and before my divorce.
Here, let's reenact it. Let's do it. No, I still have that bathrobe, by the way.
Do you?
Yeah, I have a couple of things from Gidget.
It was a very lovely moment and I had hair then, so you'll see how long ago that was. But yeah, that was a very sweet moment. That's the second I met you. Okay, Race, let's see what do we have next here with the next one. Okay, so Caryn, I just found this recently. I think your publicist with Rogers and Cowan did this with you, right?
That was actually part of the show.
Really? I never. So that was after. That's after I came and went then.
Yes, because we did these things before, and within the framework of the show, Gidget would talk straight to camera as all these different characters, Elvira for Halloween, or all kind. This was, as an actor, this was a dream. I got to do a million different characters, Victorian writers with English accents or whatever. And this was part of this was part of a show we did about Hollywood, and they actually built this, and we got a picture of it. It was a whole thing. You weren't there. It was this thing where I daydream about becoming a star. And I remember they took all of these photos of me, Caryn Richman, and put them on fake People magazine covers and house.
Do you have any of those props or anything?
I have them all.
Oh, that's great. I wonder who has these letters.
I don't know. How fabulous would that be to just
imagine if that was in your backyard?
I'd put it in the front yard.
That's great. Well, look at you.
That was a great. Yeah, I remember.
Look at this. What a sex bomb you are up there. Look at that. Look at that picture. Your father's plotting and dropping dead.
I think at that point he accepted it. I think because that definitely was sort of a turning point. Although I had done the things that we talked about before that, this was nobody knew if Gidget was going to be a hit or not. And I always say this as an actor, like getting a job is difficult enough as it is. And then hoping that your show runs. And like, if Gidget, let's say, had been Friends or, Signs or Everybody Loves Raymond or whatever, it's like, it's not just enough to get a show. It's then that show has to run. And we were possibly going to go for another year, but then there was a whole takeover. Right. But why? I don't remember you not being there. Isn't that weird? You had such a strong presence. I don't remember. Why? What? Well,
I never knew exactly what happened. I was let off in June '87. I think I upset one of the executives. I think I said something that was not meant to be heard. I think that's what happened. But what happened was I then got an incredibly great job, and I was representing Jay Leno on The Tonight Show.
Oh my gosh.
And two or 3 months later, after I left, my whole department was eliminated. So by me getting fired early, it gave me a boost to the rest of my career. So it was a blessing in disguise. Race, next one. Next picture. Okay, so Caryn, guess who took this photo?
Oh, did I take it?
You took this photo. This is me in the Skipper. This is in Hawaii. You guys shot a week in Hawaii. the new Gidget in Hawaii. And Alan Hale Jr. was a lovely guy. And I'm pretty sure, Caryn, that he took that photo.
I love that. And
Isn't
you know
that-
what? First of all, it's an amazing photo. Do you have that like
Sure,
framed?
of course.
Well, that's yeah. Can I have that photo at some
Oh,
point?
sure. I'll send you.
I don't remember shooting with him in Hawaii, weirdly. I remember shooting at Warner Brothers. But
Well,
obviously we did
Bob Denver didn't go to Hawaii. I think he shot with Gilligan in Burbank. But the skipper, this picture was in Hawaii with the Gidget show. Now, I'm pretty sure you took that picture. Maybe it was Dean, but I like to think it was.
Let's just say it was me. I like that better.
I like to see it was you. All right, Race, the next picture. Now, this is okay. Look at you. Now, you don't know the crush.
Look at you.
Caryn, the crush I had on you in this era. I mean, I was married, and I'm like, oh, look at her. Look at Caryn. She's Jewish.
Aww.
She's Jewish. My mother
It's
would
again.
if I brought you home to my mother would plot and just drop dead on the floor. He finally found a nice Jewish girl. Finally.
But your wife was Jewish.
No, she wasn't.
Oh, she wasn't.
No. Oh, no.
Oh,
Polar opposite. In fact, at one point she was a Jesus freak and we broke up. That's a whole nother story.
Okay.
But anyway, is this a wonderful photo? Look at that photo.
I just love that. Yeah, we had an instant friendship.
We were friends from the minute we met.
Lovely.
And
yeah.
we still are.
I like that.
Okay, I don't want to run out of time, so let's move
I know
ahead
it's going
a little
so
bit.
fast. Oh my God.
Okay, Race number 12, please. Number 12. Okay, you were in the that's it. Next one, 12. There we go. You were in the Brady Bunch sequel, the TV show. Tell us some stories about the Bradys.
Oh my gosh. Also, an iconic television show. Grew up watching the Brady Bunch. I was younger than the Brady Bunch, I think, because I saw them more in reruns, maybe. I mean, I was older. I don't think I watched the original Brady Bunch. That's my point. I'm having trouble knowing, when did the Brady Bunch originally air?
I would say 72 to 77, maybe.
Yeah. So I was already older and not necessarily watching the Brady Bunch as a young person. I was too old for that. I think I was already in college and off into the world, but I obviously saw it in reruns and knew these characters by that point. And so to be cast as Greg Brady's wife, again, like, wow, it's the Brady Bunch. And I remember walking onto that set and seeing that, again, iconic house. They rebuilt, the interior and modernized it. The stairway was still there. I had already known Chris Knight from soap opera days, but it was I know we're going to run out of time, so this is what I'll say. It was a wonderful, incredible experience. It was very, very interesting because we had these two sort of things going on. We had the Brady spouses, who were those of us who were coming into this new, and we bonded instantly. Jerry Hauser, Martha Quinn. We had our own little spinoff going on behind the scenes, the Brady spouses. The Brady Bunch themselves, that cast, was such a well-oiled machine. And coming into it, they were incredibly welcoming, but they had also worked with each other. Those kids grew up with each other. I think I'm talking fast because I know we're running out of time.
No. Hey, Race, can we see the next one, please? 13. Yeah, here's another one. You're on the far left there.
Oh, yeah. That wardrobe. All of this 80s and 90s wardrobe is cracking me up. And Barry Williams' mustache was hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It almost looks like a porn stash. Right?
Everybody did, though, in those days, I think.
Yeah. Race, next one, 14.
We're moving along.
Okay, so here you are singing with Florence Henderson and Eve Plum, right? Is that Eve Plum on the right? Yeah.
And Leah Ayres was playing Marsha because Marsha did not do the series.
Right.
And Martha Quinn. I'm pointing to it, but nobody can.
Oh, that's Martha Quinn on the far
right.
Yes,
to my right.
Oh, yeah. Is that before MTV? I guess, right?
That was after MTV.
Oh, MTV.
He had already done MTV. And we fell in love instantly. I still speak to her, but sadly not often enough. But
it's a cool picture. Next one, Race, please. 15. All right. So was Greg Brady a good kisser? I have to ask you.
I know, that's really funny because we had one scene, I think, where we kissed. Was he a good kisser? I don't think we had like a real deal kiss. I remember a scene in front of a fireplace I do remember thinking, I'm being romantic with Greg Brady.
He
But
doesn't have any lips. How could he be a good kisser?
that's true. In that picture,
Looks like a lizard.
he maybe that's why the mustache. You know what? I just saw him. I was lucky enough to go see him in the finale of Dancing with the Stars. He was kind enough to extend that. And he's a wonderful person. He's funny and wonderful. And I love that picture. This was at a Brady Bunch reunion. We did some major reunion in New Jersey, and it was a room, filled with hundreds of Brady Bunch fans, and that was quite wonderful to
He
see.
looks like he has very gentle, loving eyes. Like his
His
eyes
eyes are
are caring.
gorgeous.
Yeah,
I
really.
wish I had like some good gossip to tell you about kissing.
It's
And
okay.
honestly, I could talk about like Dean Butler kissing.
Yeah, no, that would
About
make
other
me.
people,
That
but
would repulse me because I was so jealous.
don't
All
be-
right, so listen, before we run out of time, this is important. You know, my show's a paranormal
I
show.
do.
All right, so race number 16, please. Number 16. Okay. So, Caryn,
Aw.
you told me that after this is you, your dad, and your brother.
Yes.
And you told me after your brother passed, some interesting things happened. So, tell us about, your paranormal stuff with your brother.
I actually have something with my dad too, but here's the
Okay.
thing. My brother sadly was disabled, paranoid schizophrenic, and he and I were literally tied at the hip. There was something just, there was a very, very deep connection. My brother also was very smart and had such a wicked sense of humor. Sadly, he ended up dying of cancer. I was by his side when he died, and I was very, very obviously distraught and heartbroken. I also had this sense instantly that he was free of his body. And in the week after his death, um, I felt him. I literally felt him. I couldn't explain it. I didn't like even want to say it out loud because these things, I know you're doing a show about this, but it's something that's quite personal and everyone has their own opinion about it. But they say that things come through electricity, electric things, right? Lamps and electric apparatuses and all of that. And I had this thing where out of nowhere, um, I heard some noise and I went searching for it and what could it be? And I couldn't figure it out. And it was my hair dryer that had just turned on completely by itself. I was nowhere near it.
Wow.
And in that instant, I just thought, oh my God, that I really genuinely felt like that was my brother's way of coming and leaving a message. I always had a thing about my
Was it
kid.
was it the middle of the night or something? Or
It actually wasn't in the middle of the night. It was daytime, but there were a couple of other things also, there was one time, this was in another home of mine where I woke up and every light in the house went on and I did not turn it on. And every sconce, every single light in the house went on. And I remember being incredibly freaked out.
wow.
And so is it, when I try to make sense of that, is that an electrical short in the wall or is that a message coming from my brother? I choose to believe weirdly that somehow it's connected. I also had, I know again, we're going to run out of time. I had a thing, how this was my dad. My dad's name was Saul. Got out of the shower. You know how sometimes you have like red marks when you get out of the shower. My hair's, in a towel, and I look on my neck, and literally the letters SOL written in red on my neck, and I literally I had chills, and I thought, oh. And no one was in those days. We didn't have a camera, like we didn't have our phones. I would have taken a picture.
Is that shortly after he passed?
It was a number of years after he had passed.
Okay.
But my mom also just recently passed, and I was very, very connected to her. She passed at 95 years old. I have felt her. And on her door when she passed, they put a butterfly, which is telling the staff that this is somebody that's transitioning. But I literally had butterflies in the backyard the entire week after she passed. I don't mean hordes of them. It
Yeah.
wasn't like a swarm, but I think every day for about a week, I saw a butterfly. And I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have to believe that somehow the energy is there. I don't know how or why or when or where. And I would love to hear more. And I wish we had a longer time because obviously you're doing a show about all of this and it just has to exist, right?
Well, it does. It really does. I mean, I think I told you, or if not, after my dad passed, many things happened. Remarkable things happened after my dad passed. Among them, the more minor one, well, there's so many things. 3 days after he died, I was out of town at a business trip in San Jose. 3 days after he passed, and I'm in a hotel. I'm asleep. It's 3 in the morning. I'm sound asleep in the hotel. From underneath my bed, Caryn, I hear, "Danny, Jeannie changed my will." And I sat up. My heart's racing. I'm shaking. I looked around. I said, "Dad?" My dad's second wife was Jeannie.
I remember you saying,
"Danny, Jeannie changed my will," and my bed was vibrating. The mattress. It turns out months later, my brothers and I found out that his second wife changed his will. My dad told me this 3 days after he died. Okay,
you
how's that?
literally heard his voice.
I think I looked under the bed because I was like, "Dad?" Because Caryn, I thought he was in the room. It was this loud. "Danny, Jeannie changed my will." It was that loud. The mattress would woke me
You
up.
weren't dreaming. You actually
No,
were.
no, 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 of course. And I told my brothers, and then they said, "We should look into it." We called a lawyer in Florida, and she changed his will and his insurance policies. So that happened. He told me after he died. And then he touched a light in my bedroom a week later, the middle of the night. A touch lamp, a touch lamp, you touch it on and off.
Yeah.
Went on and off a few times. I sat up. I go,
See,
Dad? And then another time, he had gotten me years earlier a little toy a drum set, a little toy drum set. I had it on my dresser in my bedroom. Middle of the night, a few weeks after he dies, the cymbals are from the little toy drum set are clang, 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 clanging. And I sat up. I go, "Dad," I go, "Please, if that's you, stop because you're scaring the shit out of
oh
me."
my
That's
gosh.
what I said. My dad he kept coming. He kept coming.
So the electrical thing to me, it happens once, okay, but if it continues to happen, it's not a coincidence here.
Well,
There
you're
and
Saul with your dad. It's like your dad took his finger on your neck almost. It's like he wrote his name on your
it,
neck.
yeah, it felt that way. I literally started to cry, and the thing about it is, there's no time, like in my experience with this, there wasn't time to like consciously say to yourself, "Oh, that's my brother." I just felt that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or that I know I don't want
No,
to
no, I've heard other people say, "No, you knew who it was."
yeah, that
Yeah.
was the surprising thing. It wasn't like, oh, those lights went on, every light in the house by itself, that yeah, it's just fascinating. And I just
Well,
I
my dad was blatant.
I
Jeannie changed my will,
and
like,
she did.
and she did, and he was pissed. So this is literally 3 days after he died, and
Why
he said it that loudly to me to wake me up.
why
Boy,
did he
he
come
was
to you and
pissed.
not your brothers?
I was the oldest. I was the oldest.
Huh?
I was the oldest. I think he trusted me the most. I think we had the closest bond of the 3. We're getting really tight, and I love you so much. And there's other things, but
Oh,
can
love
we
you.
talk about aliens and UFOs? You've never seen a UFO, I don't think, have you?
You
You
know, not that I've recognized, I would love it. Here's the thing. I cannot imagine we are the only species in the universe.
right, of
I just
course,
can't.
of
Like,
course.
I can't be, I don't know what exists, but it defies my own sense of logic. I don't know what it looks like or what it, but how is it that we are I don't know. I ask myself that question. I mean, I know what you believe.
Have you studied it? Because there's decades of research and books and documents and documentaries. If you research it, Caryn, you learn that really these things are real. Not everything is real, but a lot of it is real.
I'm
And the
sure.
government has been keeping it from us purposely since the crash at Roswell in 1947.
I've
There
heard
are
it. I've heard it.
many documents that have been released that talk about the Roswell crash. They had 4 dead bodies and 1 living alien who lived until 1952. His name was EB, EBE. They named him EB. And people on their deathbeds who picked up debris from Roswell swore to their families on their deathbeds. They said this was all real. This is all true. We were told that if we told anybody, they'd kill us or throw us in jail or take away our pensions. So I I have partners in Washington D.C. They're working on disclosure, capital D disclosure. Disclosure means the president, whoever the president is, goes on TV and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, I have something to tell you. Sit down, hold on tight. Extraterrestrial life is real. They've been visiting us a long time. They've been here for a long time. We've known about it. We've had to keep it from you. It's national security. We didn't feel comfortable, but now's the time." And blah blah blah. There are major people, including Chuck Schumer, who my partners are working with, to try to move the ball forward. And a lot of people think that's going to happen this year. They think this is the year for disclosure. So I'm involved with that. I've been studying this for 20 years. I've seen 3 UFOs. I believe my dad worked with reverse engineering on crashed UFOs. I'm quite convinced of it because I've researched him after he died.
What?
Oh yeah. I didn't tell you that. That's a whole nother
Oh my
story.
God.
It's a whole nother story.
It's so interesting. I would like to
There's
talk to you about
there's
it more.
there's a
I don't
great
know enough, but
there's a great deal to it if you look into it. If you open your heart and your mind to it, there's a lot there. What do you have coming up in the near future, and how can people contact you?
I'm unfortunately social media wise, I'm just sort of gaining speed. I'm not a great social media person, but I'm really committed to being better about it. Instagram, as you said, at Caryn Richman, my name,
Richmond.
CarynRichman.
Okay.
Old fashioned me is on Facebook. Have a page there that's a public page, and also my own personal page. Have a lot going on. I've become the queen of, and I say this lovingly, Hallmark Christmas type movies and Lifetime thrillers. I worked today and was smothered with a plastic bag on my head.
There you go.
Can't
As
talk
well,
about the project yet, but had a lot of takes of being smothered. You know what? I'm enjoying working and continuing on this journey, and I'm grateful to just have the opportunity to show up on a set and someone yell action, and I get to do what I love more than anything. So I
that's so
also I know we're running out of time. Had a very small, tiny role in Ray Romano's newest movie, Somewhere in Queens. Now streaming, just a bunch of stuff. I'm just
Yeah,
busy.
you've done some horror films in the last few years.
The
Do you
Puppet
like?
Man. Do we have time to talk about the
Yeah,
Puppet Man?
yeah. Tell us about the Puppetman.
So
Yeah.
this was an amazing movie. I've done little parts in horror films, mostly the wholesome person who gets killed off within the first 20 minutes or whatever. But this was a wonderful role, and it's on Shudder, I believe now. I get to play, I should have sent you a picture, a psychic, someone who contacts, spirit. And I had like the best makeup and hair, like Rasta, and it was an amazing role, amazing costumes. And I got to be this woman and that was helping these kids sort of get to the bottom of why their friend was, everybody was dying off. And ultimately I scared the crap out of myself. And we,
Race, do you have 22? Do you have slide 22? It's our puppet band. There you go. Is that it?
I don't see it, but, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Here it is.
oh my God. Where'd you get that from?
I'm very clever, Caryn.
You are. Oh my God. Well, Michael Pare. Michael Pare was
That's Michael Pare. I love him.
yeah, he was the detective and the poor
Oh.
young girl who is actually in a trance and possessed at the moment. We are trying to get that spirit out of her. And
Your hair looks great there.
they did this amazing stuff with hair and makeup.
Yeah, your hair looks really awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Very
Great
cool.
movie. Scared the crap out of me when I actually saw it. It's always funny when you do those kind of projects and you don't really see all the death scenes. They were filmed. I wasn't involved in those. And then when we actually had a screening of the movie, I was like horrified. There's some amazing deaths in the movie. Go
But
see it.
is it fun to be in a horror film? Is it fun? Or
I loved it. We had this wonderful director, Brandon Christensen. He does a lot of horror. Um, he would come to me after a take because, here I am with my little Gidget career, and I play mostly up, until recently, a lot of wholesome, sweet characters. And he would say, Caryn, give me horror eyes. And it would literally be like you would say something, and then it would be, like he said, give me the horror moment. And he really literally helped me like find it's a tiny bit of a different genre. If you're playing it, it's not tongue in cheek by any means, but it's a specific expectation, I think, as an actor. And he really helped me so beautifully through it. Like there's a phone call or the bird, you see the bird. I remember there was a scene where the bird died. And I sort of at first played it like, bird died, and he said, no, this is horror. This is a different genre, and it's like, there's a way of you. I'm not doing
so
it.
it expanded your chops, your acting chops.
Absolutely, I'm so anxious to do more horror films, and I've done a few in the past again, but I wasn't asked to do what I was.
Little Gidget goes horror.
There you go.
There you go. All right, Caryn, I love you. I always have, and I always will. I'll
Thank
see you
you.
soon. Thank you for doing this. People, write to Caryn Richman on Instagram. I'm Dan Harary, danhararyauthor.com. And if you're interested in UFOs, check out HollywoodDisclosureAlliance.org. It's my UFO group. I'll see you next week. Next week's guest is Paul Hynek. Paul Hynek's father was J. Allen Hynek. J. Allen Hynek was the head of Project Blue Book and was the science officer on the set of Close Encounters of the Third Kind with Steven Spielberg. He knows all about UFOs. Caryn, I love you.
Love you too. Bless you. Feel better. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. See you next time. Thanks, everyone. Take care.